Good morning and welcome back to Handmade Horsepower, or welcome to the first time Handmade Horsepower. A lot has changed. This is, as you can see, very little in the background is not the same shop. We moved to Kentucky. Big move. Bold move. Let's see what it plays off. So just gonna jump right back into it. Here we have my AE86. There's an Atlas 3700 sitting right here. Yeah, we're just jumping into big things, different things, real quick, real fast. Here we go. Here we are. This is not stock. They do not look like this out of the Chevy Colorado. There has been some modifications done. We will start at the bottom. The pan has been cut and chopped off because it hung down another 3 inches from there. That's too low. That would have been on the ground. Don't want to raise the engine up. It's already too tall. As you can see, I also chopped the top of the valve cover off because, yeah, this thing is Gigantosaurus. If the name doesn't imply it really, it's a 3.7 liter and it's 5 cylinders, so that size has to come from somewhere. Anyways, so the pan has been chopped off. Too low for me to, I guess technically it would be too high to have a good amount of oiling inside the pan. There'd been just about no way to get oil to sit around the pickup tube being that shallow. So doing a dry sump. It used to be really expensive to do dry sumps. It probably still is if you buy everything. So I'm not really buying anything except for the main components, the pump itself and the tank. Everything else is going to be just handmade. No pun. So the oil pan, pickup points and everything is all just welded on fittings. The lines are all custom. The bracket for the pump itself is custom. It's all really fairly simple stuff, especially with this Weaver Brothers pump because it's just mounted on a flat plane right there. So as long as you're flat 90 whatever, not hard. Next big thing that I have to do is pulleys, belt, and make some sort of a mounting surface on that bolt, or replace that bolt with a bolt that is proper. Next thing is the water pump itself is blocked off, and I blew apart the thermostat that was inside the thermostat housing. Just gonna get rid of all that stuff entirely, go to an electric water pump. That way I can pulse it correctly, find the best flow rate for cooling. All that stuff is kind of fairly relatively simple. A lot of people that are familiar with these engines know that they blow up because they have balance shafts and they cause problems. They're still in there. It'll be alright. Next thing I made was the intake manifold. There's not a lot of people out there that are making complete intake manifolds ready to go for these. A lot of places just sell flanges and runner kits. We got ours from DMZ. The plenum itself is all just made from scratch. The only probably neat thing about this manifold or plenum is that I put a plate inside of there with a slot to make a rudimentary, crude, and compact dual plenum setup. Whether or not it'll work, don't know. Didn't do any type of testing or designing for it really, just kind of went with what felt right. Probably wrong, but we're gonna try it anyways. One way or another it'll still work. You can kind of see it in there. Little slot, and it goes all the way back down in there, so it'll probably work. Maybe. The other side, the exhaust manifold is handmade as well. Companies out there sell the flange, so that's not terrible. This one came from stainless headers. It just merges into what was meant to have a V-band to a T3 style 90 elbow. I just ended up cutting the V-band off and then merging into that. Also not necessarily the cleanest way of doing it, but it'll work. The other thing we're trying is anti-lag. So the factory EGR valve on this is completely electronic. I've already hooked this up to my ECU Master Black and have tested the outputs, and it actuates that valve correctly. So hang in there, little guy, you're going to get real hot. Audi R8 coil packs. The reason we go with these is they're cheap everywhere and they work pretty decent. There are better options out there. There's also more expensive options out there, so I'm not going that way. Gold heat tape everywhere. Two reasons. One is it works really, really well. Two, money. Next thing is there will be heat shields here. There's going to be a heat shield there. I'll probably put one on this too, just to help protect it a little bit. And then kind of got screwed on my routing of lines and stuff, because the RB used to be in here, intake used to be on this side, fuel lines used to be on this side, still are on this side. So I'm just going to do a lot of work to try to keep heat away from the fuel lines. We have fuel pressure regulator right there, flex fuel sensor. For the first time in my life, I'm going with a fuel pressure sensor to the computer, so I can make sure that the computer can solve problems or tell me what's going on, instead of me having to try to figure out how to read fuel pressure from in there while I'm doing a poll going 40 miles an hour down the road, because it won't happen when I'm sitting still. So that'll help a lot of diagnosing. Variable cam timing still hooked up. That'll be ready to rock and should help with building boost. It only actuates on the exhaust side, as you can see, because this big mound of lump of crap right here being on the exhaust side. That, yeah, 1 + 1 = 7. That's fairly it under here, except for there will be a ridiculous amount of oil lines going everywhere, which makes the things a little bit difficult, but the inside hasn't really changed a whole lot from the last time, except carpet is going in, and then there will be a digital dash display in here eventually, or fairly soon, hopefully. I did end up picking up some Amazon switches. These are always great. Cheap stuff is nice. The camera won't focus. These are going to be strictly just for anti-lag and whatever else I decide to make the computer do. Pops, bangs, loud things. I don't really want to make a whole bunch of horsepower with this, but I do want it to sound good, so at the expense of this engine's lifespan, it will probably sound good. Probably. There it is from far away. Yeah, not a whole lot's really changing on the rest of the car. The fueling, I did end up picking up another surge tank since Lizzie's car has mine. I don't know if we'll end up swapping around or not, but this one will work too. Either will work in either car. They're really similar. It's just this one mounts on the floor and the other one mounts on hose clamps. That's pretty much it. There will eventually be AC and heat in this car. There are kits on Amazon that are getting pretty damn cheap, so I'd like to try one of those out just to see if it'll help. Also, extremely grateful for having these guys on board. They've been the best at helping me. Hooker harness, if you guys need really, really good seatbelts, these are the people to go to. I just got these sent back in to get recertified for another 2 years, so we're good. The other expensive part of doing a dry sump is usually the tank of oil that you have inside the car, and Speedway Motors now sells these, which are extremely cheap in comparison. So we're going to try it. We're going to see how well it does. The big thing with these are that oil comes in all aerated, and by the time it gets to the bottom, you want it to be clean, clear, free of air. And this is kind of a relatively small tank in itself, which makes things a little bit more difficult. But yeah, we're going to try it, see how it works. The other thing that people keep seeing and mentioning and asking about, I picked up a 3.4 liter Whipple. That is not for this project. That is going on something else entirely. That was just something I had seen on Marketplace and couldn't pass up. Had something that they wanted, so it worked out for both of us. But that is as far as I've gotten so far with this build. There will be a lot more coming up shortly because we are plugging away at this thing pretty quick. I believe just about a month ago there was nothing sitting in here. I don't remember how long ago it was, but yeah, it went from stock Atlas to this pretty damn quick. So we're on our way. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned as we transition into these new times. Catch you guys later.